You don't have to diss Mufasa in order to prop up Scar. I repeat, you don't have to diss Mufasa to prop up Scar. It's like, damn, what the hell? Oh, in case you're wondering what I'm responding to, the trailer for Mufasa was released. Now I haven't seen the movie, but based on the trailer, it seems like we're being manipulated. I'm not going to say, well, we don't know the entire story, because even when somebody writes a movie or a book or whatever and they say, well, let me tell you the entire story, there's still a lot of key points that are missing. Now, from my understanding, growing up as a kid, watch Lion King. I probably watched Lion King almost 1,000 times. I'm kidding, not 1,000 times, but hundreds of times. Okay, and Scar and Mufasa are brothers. Right? To me, they reminded me of Lincoln Burrows and Michael Schofield, where Michael Schofield had the brains and um, Burrows was the brute, or you can Thor and Loki, you know what I'm saying? But they're telling us that Mufasa is an orphan, and if it wasn't for Scar saving Mufasa, within Mufasa would not have been brought into the royal family. Oh, who Scar? He was born into the royal family, and at first when I saw that, at first I'm thinking, well, dang, oh, so that's why Scar was so mad and upset. And I understand being mad and upset, but I still think it's ridiculous to the point that you was purposely trying to kill your nephew and you killed your brother. Like, really? Okay. Some pretty messed up stuff must have really went down with that family. And I'm like, man, they are really making it seem like they're really trying to water down Mufasa's character. But then when I think about it, hmm, well, I haven't seen the movie, and I'm gonna tell you something. For they almost had me to the point I just feel so heavily sorry, for Scar. Like, oh, no wonder he was so upset and hateful at his brother and his nephew, because he was supposed to be next in line after his father to be the Lion King, but he got skipped over by a kid that was adopted into the family. And then after his brother passed, or God forbids, if something happened to Mufasa, he was supposed to be next in line. But you know what? Simba was born. So now it's like, oh man, they just did Scar wrong. But when you think about it, in life, you're not going to be able to control most things that happen to you, but you can control. The goal is to be able to control how you respond. And when he finally became king, he was an adult. He got to witness his father as a king. I don't know if he witnessed his grandfather as a king, but I'm pretty sure he heard the stories and stuff. He got to witness his brother as a king. And when he became king, he wanted to bring in the doggone hyenas. And their land, is it Pride Rock? Yeah, it everybody starved. It was in shambles until Simba returned. It goes to show you some things are just meant to be. It's prophecy. You got to know your role in life. And LeBron James, many people call him King James. I'm not going to call him King James, but I respect the hell of him as a person, as a ball player. One of the greats. Just because he's great at basketball, does that mean does that mean the King James title should be passed on to his children? No. They got to earn that. They got to carve their own thing. They got to earn that. Same thing just like with Michael Jordan with his kids. Like, so because Michael Jordan is not playing basketball anymore, does that mean his kids automatically receive the mantle of being called Air Jordan? No. I don't know if they can dunk from the free throw line like their dad. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But those things you got to earn. And I'm thinking, you know what? We're assuming that Scar's biological father wasn't a wise person, or his mother wasn't a wise person. For all we know, I mean, hey, maybe Scar was meant to be a master of coin, okay? Or a Secretary of Defense. You get what I'm saying? Like, not every president's child becomes a president. George W. Bush became president, you know, years after his dad was the president. But were they the same type of president? No, it was different. People looked at them both differently. I'm not sure how everybody measures how great of a president George W. Bush was compared to his dad, George Bush. But um, but I think for Mufasa, who was an orphan, and for him to be adopted into that royal family, and then eventually he became king, I think their father, the king, knew a lot about. Knew he had a feeling what Scar was going to become, and if you're a parent, you can't, you're not going to be able to predict everything, but you can gather up enough evidence on your child to come up with a hypothesis of where your child may end up, where he or she is projected to be in life. You know, like you can kind of tell, because if you're spending time with that child, you're doing things with that child, and especially in a situation where you're trying to groom a kid to be king, you putting that kid in certain situations to be like, okay, how would he handle this? How does he handle adversity? How does he handle good times, bad times? Okay, who does he turn to? Does he pray, or does he just make wishes? Is he held accountable? Does he hold others accountable? Is he always blaming other people for his obvious mistakes? What is it? Does he steal? Does he lie all the time? Does he like, is he evil? Are there three sixes behind in his head or arm or somewhere on his body? Okay, so I think his dad saw that, something that the same thing we saw in Macaulay Culkin in The Good Son. The same thing that Damien's father saw in him in The Omen. They saw, man, yeah, you can't, no, I cannot pass this down to you. Or you ever might seen the movie Billy Madison. It's very Billy Madison like. His dad was very, very rich and wealthy, one of the richest men in the world. And when in his will, and he was about to retire or whatever, one of his companies, he was willing to give it to have somebody else run it, somebody who wasn't part of their family, somebody who was one of his young employees, but was a very, very exceptional employee. And when Billy Madison, he got offended. He was like, why are you going to give it to him and not me? Well, you find out that Billy Madison never really passed any grade in school. His dad, without his dad paying or bribing the teachers or the principals or the counselors or superintendents. Okay? So Billy Madison had to go back to school 2 weeks for each grade and prove himself. So maybe Scar's dad said, "Hey, even though you my kid, you got my blood, but you got to prove yourself, son." And maybe Scar was a brat. That's my birthright. Blah 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 blah. Hell, you watch Game of Thrones? You watch Game of Thrones like I do? House of the Dragon? Like, you see what happens when they go through a doggone phase where you don't gotta prove your worth. They just, it's my birthright. It's my birthright. It's my birthright to rule all. Really? It's your birthright to rule all? Really? Says who? Says who? It's your birthright to rule. Wouldn't it be cool if they had to go through some type of, what's the word? Some type of ritual or something to prove that, wouldn't that have been beneficial? Because if that's the case, then Joffrey would have never been king. I think Scar was just like Joffrey. I mean, you House of the Dragon, man. These kids, man. These doggone Targaryens. You think just be and they call him the Dragon Queen, and King, and all this. Y'all can't control them dragons. Okay, I'm getting off subject. All right, I'm gonna talk about that later. But like, yeah, that makes no sense, man. Like, oh, it's my birthright. And Scar was just so reliant on his birthright and thought his folks was gonna just hand it to him. Mufasa put in that work. That's what I'm assuming that happened. But yeah, man, it just twists. I mean, I thought they were blood brothers though, but okay. I mean, they trying to do something different. I heard some people say that, well, the animated versions are not related to the live action version, so maybe. Um, but that's wild, man. That is wild. I had some notes that I had in my text, like every now and that I put in my phone. Every now and then I'll text myself something so I won't forget it. I just went on a little bit of rant. I probably should have started off with this. We find out that Mufasa was an orphan and adopted. Scar was born into royalty. But before I trip on how he was wrong, his father might have saw something wrong in him that wouldn't have made him a good king. Shit, you saw what he did when he had his chance. Y'all saw that. And you know what? I'm getting off my rant that I wrote down. Or it might just been them damn hyenas. It's like, hey man, we can't have these hyenas over here and stuff. They be messing up stuff. We can't have them hyenas here. They just like gremlins. We can't have these. Well, I'm not going to disrespect hyenas like that because a hyena is going to be a hyena. You got to trust a hyena to be a hyena. Just like you got to trust a snake to be a snake, and you got to trust a lion to be a lion, all right, and so on. That's why they were made and called that. And Scar was probably so hell bent on, no, these are my hyenas. They're just like me, and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And it's like, listen, you can rock with them and hang out with them, son, but listen, you cannot be the king. I cannot groom you to be king and be royalty. And you're putting these hyenas equivalent to us. We are lions. We are king of the jungle. The hyenas, no. Hyenas operate differently than lions. Nothing wrong with that, but once again, a hyena is going to be a hyena. All right, so, but dang, man, that's just weird, man. They just had to change the stuff up, and I get it. You're gonna change some things up, but dang, that's this. I think this is very, very risky, very, very risky. And a lot of times I would say when somebody's doing something very, very risky, they must really got something great up their sleeve. Now, that's not necessarily the case. Plenty of movies, plenty of shows, they thought they had something up their sleeve and then it sucked, you know. But anyway, share your thoughts. Let me know. What do y'all think about the Mufasa trailer? All right, go check it out. All right, share share your thoughts. Please hit that like and subscribe button. I'm messing up my words and stuff. This straight up threw me off. Student of the Game podcast. Peace out.